Today, we'll be taking a look at how one women's wrestler called out Sasha Banks, a look back at why a WWE superstar was suspended for grabbing Vince McMahon, and much more. So there was a big discussion online this weekend between Sasha Banks' fan base and Kiera Hogan. It all started after Sasha appeared on Smackdown. Sasha Banks came out for her segment with Bianca Belair and Carmella in an all-black outfit. The controversy and discussion was then started by Impact Wrestling's Kiera Hogan. It looked like something had really set Kiera Hogan off. She took to Twitter and had this to say: "Just be yourself. Stop trying to be something you're not or somebody else. Hashtag unapologetic." She then went on to say, "I'm going to leave this here. Check my fit though. Often imitated, never duplicated. You can't do it like me. Hashtag hottest flame." She posted the caption alongside with a gif that showed herself wearing a black dress to the ring while holding her title. She didn't flat out say, but fans understood that she was trying to imply that Sasha Banks took the look from her. Sasha Banks also wore a black dress this week, so it looks like she was taking a subliminal shot at Sasha Banks for what she viewed as Sasha Banks duplicating her look. The fans weren't dealing with Kiera's shots at Sasha Banks at all. The fans came out and started arguing with Kiera Hogan. One fan even responded to her and said, "Sasha doesn't even know who you are." She responded to all backlash from all the fans and had this to say: "If anyone has a problem with what I say, there must be some truth behind it. What y'all have to understand is I'm not going to be controlled by y'all's words. You can say what you want, that is your right. But this is my platform, and I have the same right. If that makes y'all mad or not fans, so be. I know my truth. I stay true to myself." She then continued to reply to the fans: "Insecure? Y'all got me. Y'all profile pictures aren't even pictures of you. Get out of here. Be true to you and stop worrying about me." Sasha Banks is obviously above this, so it's unlikely for Kiera to get a response from her, no matter how hard she tries. But Kiera still had a long battle of words with the fans. If Kiera and Sasha were in the same company, then this probably could have been a good way to hype up a match. But the fact that they're in separate companies makes this matchup seem impossible. But what are your thoughts on Kiera calling out Sasha Banks like this? Was Kiera wrong for what she said? Majority of fans remember that horrible night in 2016 where Daniel Bryan announced his retirement. It was a very emotional night for Daniel Bryan and the fans. But Daniel Bryan's retirement wasn't the only important thing that happened that night. Just minutes after Daniel Bryan's retirement, all the superstars were on the stage and getting ready to head back into the locker room. Vince McMahon turned around and was one of the few stars on the stage to start heading back into the locker room. That's when Titus O'Neil extended his arm and held Vince McMahon back from walking. Titus was apparently trying to hold Vince McMahon back in order for Stephanie McMahon to walk back first. Vince McMahon was reportedly heated and embarrassed right away. In fan-recorded video of the stage, you can see Vince McMahon shove Titus O'Neil right after he held him back. Arn Anderson, who was a backstage producer at the time, recently opened up about the moment and retold the story from his perspective. Arn had this to say on his podcast: "I tell you what I think happened. Daniel Bryan is beloved by pretty much everybody that loves him and everybody that knows him. He is just one of those guys that endears himself to you as being a legitimate guy. I don't know anybody that doesn't respect and speak highly of Daniel Bryan. I think the timing of him legitimately having to retire because of health issues, and you saw how it affected him backstage, and you saw how it affected the other talent who really cared about the guy. I think it being such a somber, real moment that any other day it might not have been as bad." When Titus grabbed Vince by the wrist as he was starting to exit, he caught him off guard. He almost fell down. I think that embarrassed him. I think it embarrassed him more than anyone else looked at it as being a comedic moment or something. But I think it's Vince's mind. It made him look bad because he almost fell. It made him angry right away. I think it probably, in his mind, that was a big moment. That one of his talents' careers ended because Daniel was retiring. I think he probably thought to himself that this was not a time to be goofing, and it got out of control really quick, and it flamed up really quick. I don't think there was any ill intention. I just don't think Titus was thinking properly when he did it. That's the only thing I can figure out sorting through the facts. It doesn't look like it was safe to assume Vince McMahon was angry from the situation because Titus O'Neil received a 60-day suspension from the company. Titus O'Neil even had this to say about the situation a few years ago. I still don't understand it. I literally put my hand out and said, ladies first. So I don't know what the wrong time is to say ladies first or the right time. It's water under the bridge. It happened, and I took ownership of it, regardless if I was right, wrong, or indifferent, or if this situation could have been handled differently. It happened. I served my suspension, and it's over with. It goes back to the fact that I know who I am, and I know what I did, and I know why I did it, and I've been rewarded tenfold. So it was interesting to see the new perspective from Arn Anderson, who believes Vince McMahon got heated right away because he was embarrassed. But now, 5 years later, do you think Titus O'Neil actually deserved that 60-day suspension back then? Let us know what you think. Lana finally made her long-awaited return at the Royal Rumble. The main concern for Lana's return was what she was going to be doing when she got back. We do have an idea for Lana's direction now. Lana has formed a tag team with Naomi, and they're already in the title picture for the Women's Tag Team Championships. Lana was recently interviewed by Maxim magazine, and she had this to say about her job in the sports entertainment scene. The sports and entertainment industry is a marathon. I have seen so many people come and go, but it's the consistency to do whatever it takes and work hard when no one is looking. That, in the long run, will make all the difference. That's the hardest part of the job, preserving and continuously working hard, even when being shut down and being told no. Finding a path that is so undeniably compelling that no one can deny you. We'll have to see what the future holds for Lana, and if she'll be able to take home those women's tag team titles with Naomi. Speaking of the women's tag team titles, Corey Graves had this to say while speaking on what's hurting the women's tag team division. I don't mean this as any disrespect to any of the women on Raw or Smackdown that compete for the women's tag team championships. I feel like the lack of legitimate tag teams is what's hurting that division. You have people that show up randomly that want a match, and now they're a team. You've got Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, who are about the closest thing to a legitimate team. What Corey said there is extremely true, and it's one of the biggest flaws in the women's tag team division. There's very few legitimate tag teams in the women's division. Majority of the teams are just two random women waiting to tag with each other. And all of a sudden, they're a tag team. Just like Corey said. Sort of like what we've been seeing with Lana and Naomi. They just became a tag team out of nowhere. So to make the women's tag team division even better, you need to actually have well-established tag teams. Like the Iconics, more teams like that. The whole thing of just throwing two women together and calling them a tag team is pretty weird. But what are your thoughts on what Corey Graves had to say about the women's tag team titles? Do you agree or disagree? What did you think of the rest of today's stories as well? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.